Good evening, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another edition, another week of Secretary of Shade. If you are just joining the channel, my name is DDM. Make sure you hit the bell at the top to subscribe. Also, you can find me on social media at Dapper Dan Midas. Today, we have some interesting things to discuss. A few great things. First, I want to shout out to our good friends at CARE for this beautiful set and for sponsoring the show. Make sure you visit them on social media at CARE for Equity. Great organization for pet owner advocacy and pet advocacy for people of color. So make sure you check those out, check them out. But we have a few key things to discuss. Okay, now first off, I'm already upset because my Baltimore Ravens, I went to the game. We unfortunately did not make it to the big dance. So I was distraught. My voice was actually hoarse for a couple days. So I was scared that I may not be able to make the show the way that I like to. But it came back. We're here. Shout out to the good folks in Tampa. I got to see some of you down in Tampa as well. I flew to Tampa on Friday for the Royal Rumble. And had a great time there. So just a great weekend all around. I hope you all had a great weekend as well. But let's get down to business. So the first order of business on the docket for today is Cori Bush. Now, this story just kind of came into play. Basically, Cori Bush is a congresswoman. She has hired security, which happens to be her husband, to make sure that she is safe. Now, a lot of government officials, Congress people, have been receiving a lot of threats, an influx of retaliation for how they vote, what they voted on, what they spoke on. So it's very tense in America right now, as we all know, as we've discussed a lot of times on this show. But this is coming from the Associated Press. The Justice Department is investigating whether Democratic Representative Cori Bush of Missouri misused campaign funds for her personal security. The progressive lawmaker confirmed in a statement Tuesday. Bush, who is a second-term lawmaker, denied any wrongdoing and says she is fully cooperating with federal prosecutors. And this is her quote. As a rank-and-file member of Congress, I am not entitled to personal protection by the House and instead have used campaign funds as permissible to retain security services. Now, first off, bitch, I'm gagging. Now, how you a whole congresswoman, whole congressperson, and y'all got security? Like the mayor of Baltimore got security, niece. Like, I'm low-level, B-level recording artists got security. How is it that Congress people don't have security or even a budget for security, especially in this time? They literally just attacked the goddamn Capitol and tried to find them with guns and flags, and you don't have security, niece? What is going on? Let's finish. I have not used any federal tax dollars for personal security services. Now, I love that she said that because, there's some idiot that's going to be like, she's using our tax money. What is our tax money being used for? And she clearly said she used campaign funds, which, from my understanding, is legal. Okay? Her statement came a day after the Justice Department subpoenaed the office of the House Sergeant at Arms for related documents. The Justice Department declined to comment. Since being elected to the House in 2021, Bush, who is a black woman with activist roots, has been the target of right-wing attacks. As a result, she has spent a substantial amount of money on private security while she's on Capitol Hill and back home in her district in St. Louis. Federal prosecutors have been asking questions about Bush's security expenses, the threats she received, and her decision to pay her now husband, Courtney Merritt's, with campaign funds to provide security, a person familiar with the investigation told the Associated Press. The questions have been similar to those asked by congressional investigators conducting an ethics inquiry, the person said. The person was not authorized to publicly discuss details of the investigation and spoke to the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity. The issue of how Bush has been funding her security is currently under investigation by the Federal Election Commission and the House Committee on Ethics. The FEC has stated that it is not technically against the rules for a member of Congress to use campaign funds for private security, as there has been a striking increase of violent threats against lawmakers in recent years. The Office of Congressional Ethics unanimously determined in October to clear Bush of any wrongdoing in the investigation. So they already said, sis, we get it. We get it, sis. It's tough out here. But now we got the Justice Department doing their whole thing, okay? I'm going to make sure, and this is another quote from Cori, I'm going to make sure I have security because I know I have had attempts on my life and I have too much work to do in August 2021. So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, I got to be here to do the work. A spokesperson for Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries said that Bush is entitled the presumption of innocence as the investigation moves forward. It is our expectation that the investigation will follow the facts, apply the law, and be conducted in a professional manner. Now, it just seems like, we talked about Fani Willis last week down in Atlanta. It just seems like there are these attempts to try to discredit Black women in government. And I don't like it. I don't like it. Now, if you did wrong shit, then I feel like you should be held accountable. And when I say that, I feel like everybody should be held accountable. Whether you're black, white, purple, gay, straight, non-binary, an alien, whatever it is that works with you or for you. You should be held accountable. But this sounds like a bunch of bullshit. I don't love. So, we had this happen. So then, of course, the news reporters go out and they, talk to their colleagues, the colleagues of the people who done did that's under investigation, right? So, you have a congressman, Republican Representative Troy Nehls from Texas, who has a shady past himself. Now, Troy Nehls, okay, he is a former sheriff in the state of Texas, and he's kind of busy. But first, I'm going to read you what this bitch said. Give me a moment. So Tuesday evening, and I couldn't believe it because I watched this on TV, so I gagged a little bit. The idea to pay her thug money to try to help protect her, this and that, for what? The Texas Republican demanded. Maybe if she wouldn't be so loud all the time, maybe she wouldn't be getting threats. Now, first off, bitch, you whack-ass bitch. First of all, he's ugly. So when you Google him, it's giving, critter. First off, bitch, that thug you're talking about is a veteran, from my understanding. Or at least has security military experience, bitch. So it's not like she's hiring her nephew that needed a gig. Okay? She's hiring a professional with security background. Now, that professional does happen to be her husband. And I'm not even going to hold you. I understand why people would look at that in a strange way. I get it. Because let's be honest. If this was a white person doing this, a Republican doing this, we would be like, bitch, you hired your husband to do security. We would look at it. Let's be real with ourselves. We would look at it kind of be like. So I'm willing to put that out there, right? Then he goes on to say, so when CNN had asked him this, it's on camera, like, so he can't deny it. He was asked by CNN's Melanie Zanona if he felt Bush deserved the threats. Nehls said no. What I'm saying is that when you're out here talking the way she does, she's pretty radical. And maybe she should tone it down a little bit. This is coming from a Trump supporter. Like, bitch, you don't get more radical and toned up and turned up than a Trump supporter, bitch. So I'm confused. I'm really confused as to what he said. But there's a lot of dog whistles in here. And I feel like this is another indication of proof that the Trump era has given a real platform to racist and bigoted people. Racism still exists in America, Namarado. Racism is still a thing. And you hear it in stuff like, if she wasn't so loud, if she just toned it, why should she tone down injustices? Why should she tone down speaking out against things that need to be corrected in this country? Then to call her husband a thug, bitch, I got problems with that. But hold up, I told you this was a sketchy bitch. So I went and did some digging. So he was a sheriff down in Texas, right? So this is what happened while he was a sheriff down in Texas. State regulators, and I pulled this article, bitch, this is from November 11th, 2015, okay? All right, 2015. This is from Cron, which covers news from Texas. State regulators have found that, the Houston Chronicle, I believe, state regulators have found that 2 county jails are violating Texas's minimum jail standards after inmate suicides earlier this month. On November 5th, Texas Commission on Jail Standards officials sent a letter to authorities in Fort Bend County following 2 deaths in custody since September 30th of that year, of 2015. And this is a quote from the statement, "You are hereby notified that the jail in your county fails to comply with minimum standards and that appropriate corrective measures must be initiated," Commission officials wrote to Sheriff Troy Niels. The commission found that Fort Bend County jailers were not completing face-to-face checks on inmates every hour as required by law. The most recent death, that of 33-year-old Eugene Etheridge of Houston, occurred November 3rd, days after Etheridge was arrested on a DWI charge. On September 30th, Heriberto Correas, 40, died at a Memorial Hermann Hospital facility 3 days after trying to commit suicide in the jail. Correas' death had prompted the jail commission to put Fort Bend County on an at-risk status. The facility has 30 days, this was back in 2015, to come up with a plan to address issues at the jail, according to the jail commission letter. The jail previously had been the site of just 1 inmate suicide since authorities began tracking that information in 2009. The same day the jail commission notified Fort Bend County authorities about problems at the jail, they told in McLennan County at their jail was likewise in violation of the state's minimum standards. And this is just one thing. I could do a whole show on his voting record, his background as a sheriff, but we only have but so much time. Feel free, his name is Troy Niels. Feel free to Google and find that information. But this is so now does it make sense when he says all of that? But Cori, I'm sure that everything is going to come out fine. From what it looks like, you should be cleared. You were already cleared by one party, by one official group, whatever you want to call it. You're already cleared by them. So this should turn out, great for you. If it doesn't and they do find wrongdoing and you did some shit that you wasn't supposed to do, then by all means, I think you should be held accountable and receive whatever, penalties that come along with that. But I believe that everybody should be treated fairly, no matter what side of the aisle that you're on. So we'll see how this plays out. Sound off in the comments, niece. Now, next order of business. And this is busy. Child. They're trying to impeach the Homeland Security Secretary. They're trying to impeach the Homeland Security Secretary for not doing his job, quote unquote, while at the same time not or blocking a bill that would effectively help border security. But we all know it's politics. It's political theater. And they want to use the border as a sounding board and something to use as campaign material. So, child. The House Homeland Security Committee voted to advance articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas early Wednesday, teeing up a floor vote that could make Mayorkas the first cabinet secretary to be impeached in nearly 150 years, bitch. Okay? After a 15-plus hour meeting that at times grew contentious, the GOP-led committee voted 18-15 along party lines to advance 2 impeachment articles to the House floor, where Republicans hold a slim majority. Debate and votes on the articles are expected next week. This is a lot, but I'm going to finish. House Republicans on Sunday released the impeachment articles against President Biden's top immigration official, accusing him of willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law and breach of public trust over the administration's handling of the migrant crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border. GOP Rep. Mark Green of Tennessee, the committee's chairman, said the panel had exhausted all other options to hold Mayorkas accountable for defying laws passed by Congress. House Democrats characterized the impeachment effort as a sham and said the articles lack evidence of high crimes or misdemeanors, the constitutional basis for impeachment. Tuesday's markup stretched into early Wednesday morning as Democrats sought to delay the meeting by repeatedly requesting recorded votes and raising procedural objections. Neither of the impeachment charges the committee will consider today are high crime or misdemeanor. Representative Benny Thompson of Mississippi, the top Democrat on the committee, said. The first impeachment article accuses Mayorkas of repeatedly violating the law by allowing the release of migrants who are awaiting court proceedings. The second article alleges Mayorkas lied to lawmakers about whether the southern border was secure and obstructed congressional oversight of the department. If he is impeached, Mayorkas is all but certain to be acquitted of the charges in a trial in a Democratic-controlled Senate where a 2/3 majority would be needed to convict and remove him from office. Still, his impeachment would be historic since he would just be the second cabinet official to be impeached in U.S. history. The impeachment push comes as the GOP attempts to make border security a central theme of the 2024 campaign. Many House Republicans, however, also opposed an immigration deal aimed at clamping down on illegal border crossings. One thing, and you know what, I'm just sick of everybody at this point, if I'm being honest. One thing you gotta give the Republican Party, they do not quit. Like, bitch, they never get tired. They will find a hill to die on somehow, somewhere. Okay? And, like, it's like relentless. It's like the Terminator, bitch. It's just like no matter how many times you shoot them, fuck them up, run from them, throw them under a tractor trailer. They just keep coming. They just, ooh. Sickening. So, what are they opposing about this bill to actually help border control? A bipartisan group, and this is from CBS as well. A bipartisan group of lawmakers in Congress is on the verge of striking a deal with the Biden administration that would enact sweeping new border controls, including the authority to pause asylum processing during spikes in migrant crossings. Okay? After weeks of closed-door negotiations, the White House and a trio of senators could unveil an agreement as early as this week, the sources said, requesting anonymity due to the private nature of the conversations. The bill is designed to reduce the unprecedented level of illegal crossings recorded along the southern border in the past 3 years. While GOP Senator James Lankford, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, and Independent Senator Kristen Sinema are close to finalizing the compromise with the White House, any bipartisan immigration proposal will face an uphill battle in the House where Speaker Mike Johnson, the idiot who won by default because nobody can make a decision when they decided to throw out, their existing speaker, and other conservative lawmakers have pushed for even stricter changes to the asylum system. Divisions among Republican lawmakers over whether to support a border deal with Mr. Biden have also intensified after former President Donald Trump came out against it. At a rally in Las Vegas on Saturday, Trump said he would rather have no bill than a bad bill. Now, what would this deal do? Okay? If enacted into law, the emerging deal would mark the first major bipartisan overhaul of the nation's immigration system since the 90s, bitch. Now, and this is no shade, this is just calling a spade a spade. Donald Trump do not want this to happen. Republicans do not want this to happen. Because guess what? If they actually came up with a bill under a Biden presidency to actually address the border, stop the bleed, and do whatever they need to do, child. And then, no shade, the followers of Trump, they're going to believe that shit. They just, I just wish people wasn't so dumb. And I hate calling people dumb, but it's like people don't read. They don't look into stuff. And y'all know from watching, over the years, y'all know I'm very fair. If some shit don't sound right on the blue side, I'm going to call it out. If some shit don't sound right on the red side, I'm going to call it out. But God damn it, really? Really? The agreement is expected to give the executive branch a new legal authority to effectively suspend asylum in between official ports of entry when migrant crossings surpass certain thresholds. So what that means is, when we start getting an influx of people, it's like, okay, hold on, these. I know you claiming asylum, but bitch, there's too many of y'all up at this door. It's kind of like, think of it as the club. Like how you stand outside. Well, I don't stand out in lines for clubs no more. But when, for those people who just choose to stand outside the line, outside the club and wait in line, but you got to wait because there's a certain amount of people in there already. So they got to wait for some people to leave and then you can come in. That's kind of what it's giving, That would affect remote areas in Arizona, California, New Mexico, and Texas, where migrants regularly cross into the U.S. illegally to surrender themselves to overtaxed federal immigration officials who often release them because they don't have the resources to screen everyone for asylum. The power, which Mr. Biden referred to as an authority to shut down the border on Friday, would be mandated after average daily migrant crossings hit 5,000 over 7 days, or 8,500 in a single day. It could also be activated on a discretionary basis after average daily crossings surpass 4,000 in a week. There will also be a limit on the number of days each year the president could invoke the authority. When the authority is invoked, migrants who cross into the U.S. illegally would not be allowed to ask for asylum and would face swift deportation to Mexico or their home country. Exceptions would be made for those who pass screenings for other, more difficult to obtain forms of humanitarian refuge, including protection under the United Nations Convention Against Torture. Current U.S. laws allows most migrants on American soil to request asylum, even if they enter the country unlawfully. So right now, as it stands, bitch, you can cross the border and be like, oh, I need asylum. Now, I'm going to be real. We do need some kind of border control. And that's no shade. I'm not trying to offend nobody. I'm not trying to be rude. But my black ass can't just go walk over to London, bitch, and say, cheerio. Okay? I can't just walk up and knock on Big Ben and be like, hey, bitch, what's tea? I can't do that. All right? So I feel like it needs to be the same way here. I think that everybody should have the right to come to this country. I do believe that. But you got to do it the right way. And as a black person who have watched Haitians get turned around in their boats in the middle of the sea, bitch, I ain't got no pics. That's all I'm saying about that. So we'll watch and see how this develops. But it's all a catastrophe. It's all foolishness. Now, winding down, getting to one of our final stories. And then we got our positive story, because I always like to end on a positive note. It's a good one, too. But unfortunately, sad news. 3 U.S. soldiers were killed in an attack in Jordan. 3 soldiers killed in a drone attack on a U.S. military outpost in Jordan were identified Monday as Sergeant William Rivers, 46, of Carrollton, Georgia, Specialist Kennedy Sanders, 24, of Waycross, Georgia, and Specialist Brianna Moffitt, 23, of Savannah, Georgia, okay, according to the Defense Department. They were all assigned to the 718th Engineer Company, a U.S. Army Reserve unit based out of Fort Moore, Georgia. Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh said in a briefing. More than 40 were injured in the attack, according to Singh, a number that could possibly increase. The drone hit a housing facility on base where many service members were asleep in the early morning hours, leading to the high number of casualties. Singh said that Monday, the 8 personnel who were medically evacuated were taken to Baghdad Diplomatic Support Center. 3 of those service members will be transferred to Landstuhl Regional Medical Center for follow-up. Okay? What happened? Now, how did this happen, you may ask? The drone approached the U.S. military outpost Tower 22 around the same time an American drone was returning to the base, which led to uncertainty over whether it was hostile and caused a delay to the U.S. response, 2 U.S. officials told CNN. The enemy drone followed the American drone as it approached, but it is not clear whether the enemy drone intentionally followed the American one or if it was a coincidence. The enemy drone also flew low, which may have allowed it to evade the base's air defenses. U.S. officials are also still assessing the drone's point of origin, so they don't know where the fuck this drone came from, bitch. They don't know where the drone came from. The attack, this is scary. This is scary, okay? The attack on Sunday marked a significant escalation after roughly 165 attacks on U.S. and coalition forces since October 17th, further raising concerns over a broader conflict breaking out in the Middle East while the U.S. and its allies navigate rising tensions on multiple fronts. Ciao. I say this all the time. We spread too thin. We need to come back home. Like, some of this shit, let them figure it the fuck out. Okay? I don't mean no harm, but these people been fighting for decades, in some cases centuries, in some cases millennia. Why the fuck are we there? What we gonna do? Country only been around 400 or 500 years. What we gonna do? They been fighting, let them keep fighting. You got our children, because these are babies outside of the 46-year-old, but these are babies dying. And then the scary part is that we got all this technology, we the American shit, and y'all, the drone gagged y'all. It said it flew low, so it was undetected from your defenses, bitch. That means there's a technology deficit somewhere. We need to be hiring the right people. Because, bitch, how the fuck y'all miss that? The only piece I can get from this is that at least these people died in their sleep. So they ain't feel it. And if you're going to go, that's a good way to do it. But my heart goes out to their families. And I hope that, you know, they do figure out who sent this. Whose drone this is. Because, niece, this is not a good look. It's not a good look. Okay. Now, to end on a good note, on a positive note. You know, we always like to end on a positive note. So, a bride, check this out, donates her $15,000 reception to special needs families after calling off her wedding. So, in a true definition, this is from the Good News Network, in a true definition of a worst-case scenario, an unnamed California bride-to-be is reported to have called off her entire non-refundable wedding reception worth 15 racks, after learning something about her fiance. Okay? But she took the disaster and turned it on its head, donating the reception party complete with dinner, dessert, drinks, DJ, dancing, and a photo booth to a nonprofit called Parents Helping Parents, which provides community support to parents with children who have special needs. Okay? It makes me feel grateful for the resilience and kindness of people that this bride could do something so generous and thoughtful in the face of her own sadness is inspiring, said Maria Dane, Executive Director of Parents Helping Parents. Organizers at PHP sent out invitations for the Ball for All and had all the seats reserved 48 hours before the event. The bride had detailed the party was to be for all the special needs folks, from 0 to 100, and the gesture touched the hearts of all involved. Nearly everyone there was a young adult with special needs, their parents, or a member of their care team. Their joy and delight really told the story about how special and unique this event was. The moment the ballroom was open and we all filed into a beautiful candlelit room with tables draped in white linen. I think that's great. I wonder if he cheated on her. I wonder what happened. It's usually given infidelity. It's given infidelity, or maybe she could have found out he was gay, because you know the girls don't live for that. I don't know. But good on her. Good on her for, you know, doing that, and, you know, that whole, thing. Maybe she could donate some more money to Donald Trump so he can pay his $83 million. Had to get it in there. But anyway, that's our meeting for today, folks. I hope that you had a great time. I had a great time. Today was really cute. This is a good show, right? But leave your comments down in the comment section. You can follow me once again at Dapper Dan Midas on social media. If you want to contribute to the channel, we do super chats and all that good stuff, Cash App, Venmo, whatever you want to do. But I want to thank you all for joining. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye.